Hello. This is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. Today is Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. The show is coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, here on the East Coast of the United States. The weather in this area, currently it is 80 degrees, feels like 85. A few thunderstorms possible. Highs in the low 80s and lows in the upper 60s. Expect showers around 4 p.m. today and rain possible around 12:30 p.m. It is currently 12:25. That will be 1/4 of an inch of rain. See a home swept away in deadly New Mexico flood. Temperatures a little lower than yesterday, down by 9 degrees. And running is poor today. Currently, poor weather for cycling and poor weather for gardening right now. The AQI is moderate at 60. The UV index is high at 6. And the wind is about 5 miles per hour. Today's sunrise was at 6:23 a.m. Sunset will be at 9:02 p.m. In other geographical locations, more than 170 missing in Texas as search for survivors grows. Colorado State lowers hurricane season expectations, and no more shoe removal at airport, says the TSA. The country is just coming out of celebrating the July 4th Independence Day weekend. And during that weekend, there were a number of mass shootings across the country. Law enforcement investigations and arrests continue. In the news today for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025, number 1, name of teen charged in connection with 2 Lexington deaths released. A teen charged in connection with the death of 2 other teenagers has now been identified and booked into the Fayette County Detention Center. According to the jail records, Jesus Eduardo Reyes Ocampo, who turned 18 Monday, was booked into the Fayette County Detention Center and charged with 2 counts of murder. Impervious, rebel GOP lawmaker unfazed by Trump's vendetta. Representative Thomas Massie, Republican from Kentucky, has frequently faced Donald Trump's wrath, but he's not worried that the president will get him ousted from office. Whoopi Goldberg urged to retire by the View fans after she shockingly admits starring on the show can sometimes feel like HELL. According to the article, in part, let us say this to you. Thank you for that, because sometimes this gig can feel like HELL. Goldberg shockingly confessed, sparking everyone to laugh. This was after the co-hosts had made their usual entrance to a round of applause and some standing ovation. And sometimes you feel like people are just angry at you all the time. So to get a welcome like that this morning, we really appreciate it. Exclusive. Mossad agent Jeffrey Epstein's suicide showed signs of exactly the same method used to assassinate rogue spies. This has some details in it that I think I should share with you in total. And it's coming from Radar Online one day ago. Again, the title is Exclusive Mossad Agent Jeffrey Epstein's Suicide Shows Signs of Exactly Same Method Used to Assassinate Rogue Spies. As you know, recently in the news, there were some comments about revealing a Jeffrey Epstein list of clients and other information. So the article is as follows. After years of anticipation, word that Jeffrey Epstein did not have a black male client list and wasn't murdered in a cover-up has met with extreme criticism. RadarOnline.com can officially confirm the sex offender had ties to foreign spy agencies, including Israel's famed Mossad intelligence group, and suffered a death strangely familiar to one of its top agents. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York with bed sheets around his neck in his cell while awaiting trial. While the death has been ruled a suicide and the case closed by the Trump administration, the circumstances surrounding it are eerily reminiscent of a similar spy situation. As you know, there were photos circulated of some of the people that visited Epstein's island, and Trump was in some of those photos. The article continues. In the explosive book, Epstein, Dead Men Tell No Tales, author Dylan Howard exposes Ben Ziegler, an agent of the Mossad in the early 2000s. In early 2010, it was reported that he had been imprisoned in Israel for threatening to expose other Mossad agents. By the end of that year, Ziegler was dead via suicide. Strange similarities. Like Epstein, Ziegler met with his attorneys shortly before his death and was said to be in good spirits at the time. As Howard writes, despite a history of suicide attempts, he had been placed in a cell that was not suicide-proof and had no cellmate. Supposedly, he used his bed sheet to tie a noose to the bars of his window and killed himself by leaning forward. Members of the rescue crew claimed he had been able to do it out of view of the security cameras that swept his cell. According to Howard, following Ziegler's death, an investigation found orders had been given to prevent suicide, and these were not upheld. The judge also found strange bruises on Ziegler's body and traces of a tranquilizer drug in his system, Howard explains. She ultimately concluded that she could not rule out the intervention of another person who intentionally caused his death. Dispute and denials. However, according to Howard's book, despite rumors that Epstein's death may have been a hit by the Mossad, the method of his death does not seem to carry the fingerprints of Israel's secret security force, which tends to prefer simple shootings. In the list of confirmed Israeli assassinations since 1970, there is not one incident of strangulation. Rumors of Epstein's connections to the Mossad have been floating for years, but former Israeli spy Ari Ben-Moshe said they are all true. Mr. Epstein was a simple idiot who was going around providing girls to all kinds of politicians in the United States, he previously said. See, effing around is not a crime. It could be embarrassing, but it's not a crime. But effing a 14-year-old girl is a crime. And he was taking photos of politicians effing 14-year-old girls. If you want to get it straight, they would just blackmail people that would just blackmail people like that. The honey trap. Epstein was sort of flying very important people around the world, providing young girls for some of them. said author Martin Dillon after conversations with sources in the Mossad. Building files is how the intelligence services work. They call it the honey trap, Dillon said, referring to the time-honored intelligence practice of spies using the lure of sex to entrap targets. According to a 1975 Washington Post report, the CIA possibly got the idea from the Russians, who have long used sex blackmail to entrap Westerners into spying for them. CIA reps told reporters that they had never heard of the tactic, but in his expose, Howard contends for Epstein, the playbook was already written. Just thought I would share that information with you with the details. Continuing in the news, I support Palestine action and I always will. Pink Floyd icon Roger Waters may face up to 14 years in prison for Palestine support. Pink Floyd icon Roger Waters may soon be behind bars just for saying 4 little words. Being opposed to Israel's genocide in Palestine is an increasingly dangerous opinion to have for Americans. Donald Trump has made clear that he considers criticism of Israel as anti-American, with prominent pro-Palestinian campaigners detained, censored, and threatened with deportation. Dad, accused of killing his 3 daughters and spending a month on the run, is reportedly spotted in the woods. A possible sighting of Travis Decker, the Washington father accused of killing his 3 daughters, has been reported in the remote Bear Creek area of Idaho's Sawtooth National Forest, according to U.S. Marshals. President Donald Trump against Washington changing name to Commanders. It doesn't have the same ring. This is another one 2 days ago on 3.com. And because I'm a former resident of Washington, D.C., this was during the days of football, Washington Redskins, rivalry with the Dallas Cowboys, so forth and so on. So now we have the president's opinion on the name change. The article says, after 87 years as the Washington Redskins, the NFL team changed their name in 2020 to the Washington Football Team and subsequently to the Washington Commanders. If you remember, there was an open period where people could send in name change suggestions. On Monday, President Donald Trump was asked if he would like the Commanders to reverse course and call themselves the Redskins again. Well, you want me to make a controversial statement? I would. I wouldn't have changed the name, Trump said. It doesn't have the same ring to me, but winning can make everything sound good. So if they win, all of a sudden the Commanders sounds good. But I wouldn't have changed the name. Washington's decision to change the franchise's name in 2020 was a quick one. For years, the organization faced protests from Native American advocacy groups claiming the Redskins' name was racially insensitive. However, after George Floyd's death in May 2025, in a period of civil unrest in the United States, the organization felt more pressure than ever to address the Redskins' name. The organization particularly was under fire online, with each of its tweets receiving a wave of comments that read, #change the name. In turn, The team's owner at the time, Dan Snyder, reportedly began discussing changing the team's name with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. However, before reports of their conversation went public, a letter signed by 87 shareholders and investors worth a combined $620 billion was sent to 3 companies that are sponsors of the NFL and/or of Washington's team: FedEx, Pepsi Company, and Nike. The signees had a simple but massive request: cut ties with the team unless it changed the name. On July 3, 2020, Washington released a statement revealing the team would review the team's name and consider making a change. Just 9 days later, Snyder announced the organization would be retiring the Redskins name and logo. For 2 NFL seasons, Washington played as the football team before officially changing their name to the Commanders in 2022. While some fans have expressed their desire for the organization to return to its roots, the conversation around the team's name died down when the Commanders found success last season. In head coach Dan Quinn's debut campaign at the helm, the Commanders reached the NFC Championship. Now, with Trump making his opinion on the Redskins-Commanders conversation official, perhaps the organization's name will be put under the magnifying glass again. Of course, Quinn and Company will be more focused about their product on the field than any outside noise. So there you have the latest on that one. Dumpster diver befuddled after opening up bag of garbage found on side of road, ended up getting a check for $316. So it appears that among some people, dumpster diving is something to do, hoping to discover something valuable or some treasure that has been discarded. And it is known that some businesses do discard fully packaged and unused items that do have some value. In this case, the dumpster diver discovered a plastic bag with various items in it, including a gold necklace with a pendant. When he took it to be evaluated, come to find out the necklace was worth $300 and the pendant $16. So he was given a check for that amount. Continuing, this is a freak of nature. When Charles Barkley said LeBron James is the only player he couldn't compare to anyone from the 90s. There's always been a player who you can compare somebody to. LeBron James is the first player that another player that I can compare to. There's always been 6'8" guys who were super talented, who were terrific players. They all weigh like 220, 230 pounds. Tracy, Scottie Pippen were all guys 6'7", 6'8", great defenders, great scorers, very athletic. But LeBron outweighed those guys by 30 pounds. This is a freak of nature, said Barkley. About the 4-time champ, Barkley continues, as great as I think Kobe Bryant is, I never said that he's not as good as Michael Jordan. Man, this is guy LeBron James. I thought I would never compare somebody to Michael Jordan. But this guy, LeBron James, from basketball, like he does everything well, said Barkley, who lost to MJ-led Bulls in the 1993 finals. Standing at 6'9" and weighing 260 pounds, James can operate like a Swiss Army knife, turning into a freight train in the paint, hitting the mid-range, and occasionally making logo threes. Now 40, James is still playing at an MVP level. With Luka Doncic by his side in Los Angeles, the basketball world isn't ready to turn the page just yet. The 2025-26 season might not just be a farewell tour. It could be a reckoning. And comments from Kenny Smith and Dominique Wilkins were also included in this article in case you want to access it for more details. And the whole thing is a tribute to James's ability on the court. In Texas officials forced to apologize after alleged rescue of two missing girls turned out to be a tale of misinformation. Texas officials have issued public apologies after a widely shared story about two young girls being miraculously rescued from a tree in the Kerr County flash flood zone turned out to be false, highlighting how misinformation can rapidly spread during disasters. The July 4 flash floods that struck central Texas have devastated communities like Hunt and Kerrville, killing at least 82 people and leaving dozens missing. Officials continue to search for missing persons as the confirmed death toll rises and residents demand clear answers about the state's preparedness before the flooding began. According to reports on this particular occasion of the flash floods in Texas, the alerts came at between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., and there was very little time between the alerts and the actual event occurring. So amongst those people responsible and oversee these type of things, there was some conversation about adding some type of siren warning service where you could hear the noise coming to you, because those are the hours when people are really 4 a.m. getting into your REM sleep, and even if you have your phone on the nightstand and an alert comes through, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will wake to it. So adding audio alarm sirens to that area is what is being discussed and considered. In the top stories today for Wednesday, July the 9th, 2025. First one, longtime 60 Minutes correspondent Steve Kroft, Jon Stewart, bashed CBS's Trump settlement as a shakedown. The lawsuit alleged CBS News deceitfully edited a 60 Minutes interview last year with then Vice President Kamala Harris in order to make her appear more articulate ahead of Election Day. Many legal experts and Paramount's own attorneys insisted the lawsuit was meritless, but CBS parent company settled anyway. They never said we screwed up. They just paid the money, Kroft said. Kroft, who retired from the show in 2019 after a 30-year run, said his former colleagues are devastated that CBS and its parent company settled Trump's election interference lawsuit. Fox News Digital has learned that the sum being paid to Trump could reach north of $30 million, with a $16 million being paid up front for his future presidential library. Continuing with the top stories, Nikola Jokic reportedly tells Nuggets he will not sign extension this summer. Jokic is eligible for a 3-year, $206.4 million extension as of July 8th, and Nuggets management has said they would offer it. But he told the Denver Nuggets that he is not going to sign it this summer, waiting to discuss a contract with the team next summer. reports Bennett Durango of the Denver Post. Trump uses famous SNL sketch to slam Schumer for Texas flooding blame. President Donald Trump compared Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York, to the famous Saturday Night Live character of Tommy Flanagan, the pathological liar. Schumer on Monday sent a letter to the Department of Commerce, Acting Inspector General Dwayne Townsend, demanding an immediate investigation into the scope, breadth, and ramifications of whether staffing shortages at key local National Weather Service stations contributed to the catastrophic loss of life and property during the deadly flooding. Paddleboarders, mysterious killing rocks quiet summer vacation area. Investigators are asking for the public's help after a Maine paddleboarder visiting a local pond was found murdered last week. The woman has been identified as 48-year-old Sunshine Stewart of nearby Tennant's Harbor, according to Maine State Police. An autopsy reveals Stewart was the victim of a homicide, but her cause of death has not been released. The discovery comes as fears surrounding a possible serial killer are gripping the New England region following a string of unexplained deaths in recent months. At least 13 bodies have been recovered throughout the Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Maine, with many of them found in remote wooded areas since March 2025. However, law enforcement agencies within the region have continued to push back against the theory that the deaths are due to a serial killer. Atom, known as Ant-Man, thrilled to be with once-in-a-generation Doncic. More than 7 years after being selected 2 spots ahead of Luka Doncic in the NBA draft, 2018 number 1 pick DeAndre Ayton was amazed Tuesday when he was introduced as Doncic's newest Los Angeles Lakers teammate. Lakers president of basketball operations and general manager Rob Pelinka identified the center position as the team's top need for the off-season. Anton, 26, stands 7 foot, 250 pounds, with career averages of 16.4 points on 59% shooting, 10.5 rebounds, and 1.0 blocks. He agreed to a 2-year, $16.6 million deal with a player option for the second year, sources told ESPN after being bought out of his contract with the Portland Trail Blazers. And continuing with the top stories, this one switches to entertainment. And 22 hours old out of the Los Angeles Times. Under music, as Essence Fest takes blame for Lauryn Hill's wildly late set, Stephanie Mills lets criticism rip. The Essence Festival has taken responsibility for a Lauryn Hill performance that saw the hip-hop legend take the stage at 2:30 in the morning. Let's be very clear, we don't play about Miss Lauryn Hill, not for clicks, not for headlines. Organizers wrote Sunday on Instagram. She arrived on schedule, stepped on that stage, and delivered the kind of performance only a legend can. The 31st annual New Orleans-based event, which ran Friday to Sunday, was peppered with issues from the beginning. According to the news site NOLA, Hill was quietly added to the already inflated lineup just 2 days before opening night. Does Lauren know about this? One fan quipped in comments on an Instagram post announcing the addition. Others riffed on her well-known history of tardiness. The festival was reportedly already running behind when contemporary R&B trio Siren opened the first day. At the halfway point, Glorilla finished 45 minutes after the next act was supposed to start, Nola said. So it was little surprise that headliner Hill didn't get on stage until 2:30 a.m. Saturday. She performed to a nearly empty Caesar Superdome. Hundreds of people were left instead of tens of thousands, closing with Fujila more than an hour later. Though Hill is notorious for starting her shows late, even telling a 2023 audience, "Y'all lucky I make it," Essence festival organizers quickly took the blame for this one. Family is family, and around here we protect our own no matter what the people have to say, the organizers said. The delay, not hers. We will take that. The moment, one for the books. The legacy, still unmatched. Put some respect on her name. Keep the takes, but keep her out of them. All love and deep profound admiration for Miss Lauryn Hill, they added. Comments celebrated Essence accountability. The social media post even received love from Saturday headliner and legend Erykah Badu, who contributed some applause emojis. However, not everyone was over the moon. In an open letter to the Essence Festival on Tuesday, Grammy-winning artist Stephanie Mills voiced her grievances about the event's overall level of professionalism. While I remain grateful for the opportunity to have participated, my overall experience was unfortunately marred by significant production issues that negatively impacted both my performance and the artist's experience as a whole, wrote Mills, who performed Sunday. The schedule and time management was severely lacking, creating a chaotic and stressful environment backstage. The technical difficulties, specifically concerning the sound system, proved deeply problematic, she continued. She closed out the letter by calling a vastly improved experience for artists and fans of the festival in future installments. An Essence Fest takes blame for Lauryn Hill's wildly late set, and Stephanie Mills lets criticism rip. New details exposed about Reservoir Dogs star Michael Madsen's cause of death. The actor, who was found unresponsive in his Malibu home on July 3rd, died from heart failure with heart disease and alcoholism as contributing factors, a representative for Madsen confirmed to Fox News Digital. According to the representative, an autopsy will not be conducted as Madsen's cardiologist has already signed the death certificate. Madsen, best known for his roles in Quentin Tarantino's films Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill Volume 2, The Hateful Eight, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, was 67 at the time of his death. The top stories continue. At least 13 may have killed themselves over UK's post office wrongful convictions scandal. From across the pond, United Kingdom, at least 13 people were thought to have taken their own lives as a result of Britain's post office scandal, in which almost 1,000 postal employees were wrongfully prosecuted or convicted of criminal wrongdoing because of a faulty computer system, a report said Tuesday. From around 1999 to 2015, hundreds of people who worked at post office branches were wrongly convicted of theft, fraud, and false accounting based on evidence from a defective information technology system. '25 WNBA All-Star Draft results. Caitlin Clark selects Fever teammates. Caitlin Clark is joining forces with her Indiana Fever teammates for the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game. There's a high chance that Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston will be on my team. The two-time All-Star teased Monday during open practice for season ticket holders. She did just that. In her first appearance as a WNBA All-Star captain, Clark's All-Star team picks are extra meaningful considering the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game will be held at the Fever's Grain Bridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis on July 19th. The picks are in. If you want to access this article, you can see the teams for both sides. And rounding out the top 10 stories, Trump said he threatened to bomb Moscow if Putin attacked Ukraine. 2024 fundraiser tapes show. Excuse me. With Putin, I said, if you go into Ukraine, I'm going to bomb the SHIT out of Moscow. I'm telling you, I have no choice, Trump said during one 2024 fundraiser, according to the audio. And then Putin goes like, I don't believe you, but he believed me 10%. The remarks, which came as Trump made his case for a second term, were among those captured in a series of audio tapes of 2024 fundraisers in New York and Florida, which were later obtained by Josh Dowsey, Tyler Pager, and Isaac Armstar, who detail some of the exchanges in their new book, 2024. The audio has not previously been aired. Trump referenced his conversation with Putin and Xi while arguing he would have staved off conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza if he were president instead of Joe Biden. He now struggles to end both wars. Well, that concludes the news and the top stories for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. I would like to mention this one. Beyonce performing in Washington, D.C. on her tour. I believe as has become more popular, when you come to a show of this size and magnitude, there is at some point when there's going to be some high in the air activities. Taylor Swift has done it. I remember years ago when she performed in Louisville, she had aerial activities going. So Beyonce is coming across the stadium sky in a vehicle, but somehow the lines became unbalanced and everybody automatically gasped and held their breath. Equipment failure, whatever it was, all went well. You know, she was able to reach the ground safely, but it's her comment that I wanted to repeat or relate to you. So once she was able to let the crowd know, she said that with fans like you, if something can happen, I'm sure you would have caught me. I love you all. So that's a pretty good attitude. But for a moment there was kind of scary, but we're all glad that Beyonce is safe. And including Blue Ivy and Rumi sharing the stage with her on this tour. All her fans have their eyes glued to each show. I'm Theodore Parker. This is The Side Show. That's it. Hashtag.